Good afternoon. Well, as you can see, it's Christmas, and I'm just going to do a little video to introduce you to the instruments on the Malvern Minstrelsy website. That's malvernminstrelsy.co.uk. Now, I set this up at first because I thought my son might be interested in making recorders, and he was for a while. And I thought, well, I'll set up something that's not in my name to make fairly simple medieval recorders and see what happens. As it happens, he's now earning an awful lot more money than me as a software engineer, so that's absolutely fine. And but I kept Malvern Minstrelsy, and most people know that I'm behind it. But just to confirm that, yes, that's me, Tim Cranmore. Hello, good afternoon. Now, I'm going to introduce you to some of the instruments on the site. Now, medieval recorders, there are about 7 or 8 fragments of medieval recorder that have been recovered from various places in Europe, only in Europe. And they're generally either soprano or sopranino size, and most of them were recovered from places that preserve wood, which is often latrines. Or moats or boggy places, all the sort of places also that archaeologists like to go dig in, because archaeologists know that moats and latrines usually come up with fairly interesting things that are dropped into them. So one of the oldest recorders that they've found is the Tartu recorder, and this was discovered in the city of Tartu, Estonia, at the bottom of a long drop latrine. And who knows why it's there? I've gone into this before, so I won't do it again. But it's almost complete. Well, it is complete, and apparently it actually works, because I know a couple of people who have played it. And this is a copy of the recorder. When I made a copy, it came out almost at 440, so I didn't have to change very much. You can see that the characteristics of it are the holes are really quite small. You can see that the hole at the bottom here is the smallest of all. At the voicing is quite deep, which gives it a very stable sound. And it has this sort of not quite a wind cap top on the end. There is no beak, but it is a recorder because it has a thumb hole at the back. There it is. And this is a sopranino size. It has a leading note of E natural. And the interesting thing about it is that because the holes are very small, the scale is not what you would expect, but we do have a semitone at the bottom. Very nice semitone. And as you go up, to begin with, the fingering is quite normal. I suppose I have changed it to make it quite normal. Do that again. But after that, the usual fingering you would expect for this octave just doesn't work, because this hole just isn't big enough. So the octave I find is that's very strange. The octave is far too small. The only fingering I found for this octave is to cover the end when it's a very good octave. And for the next note, which is sort of what you would expect. So it's tricky, but it works. The Tartu recorder from Estonia. Now, of course, most people don't want to be bothered with that, so I've made this version of it. It's very similar in look, but it has larger finger holes, and therefore it has a more modern scale, but it still has the wind cap style at the top and the very deep voicing to give it stability. And this sounds like this. It's quite forceful, it's quite loud, and it works. Now, of course, a lot of people talk about the temperament of these instruments. It's very difficult to tell from the originals what the temperament would have been. Everyone sort of assumes it's going to be a temperament, even before they really define temperaments, and the people gaily throw out mean tone and Pythagorean and just and all these things because they read about it a bit on Wikipedia perhaps. But in the great scheme of things and in modern life, most people just want them to be in tune, and they want them to be in tune with their friends who are probably playing on Merckx or Mollenhaus or something. So unless asked otherwise, I make all these in equal temperament. So that's the sopranino size. In F, you can see it's a bit shorter than the original, with a leading note of E. Now, the things I liked about this recorder is the stability and the sound. It's very loud and very stable, and it's stable because of this deep voicing here. And I made some other versions, of course, because all recorder makers do. So this is the same in C. It's loud, it's stable, and very good for playing medieval music and very good for playing out of doors. And of course, having started in C, no one really ends in C, so I also made a version in G. I don't think that's real medieval music, but never mind. And a version in F. Once again, very stable, very full sound. You can blow down it very nicely, very satisfyingly, and it sounds very well out of doors. Now, another very nice commission I got a couple of years ago was from the Guildhall School of Music, which was kindly sponsored by the Worshipful Company of Turners. And Ian Wilson asked me to make a consort of these instruments, which I did tune in mean tone temperament. And I had to make a tenor. Now, a tenor, usually in C, that's far too long. Couldn't do that. So I made a tenor in D. This is a tenor in D in plumwood. This is the biggest you can really get away with without a key. Very nice big sound. I really like this. And because the tenor was in D, Ian asked me to make a tenor in D, an alto in G, an alto in A, and a soprano in D to match the tenor. And these are very nice consorts. You can find some videos of them on the website being played by the students of the Guildhall School of Music. So this was sort of fairly far-fetched because we've come quite a long way from the original. The fingering is different, but we still have this very deep voicing, which gives a lot of stability. And I really like that. A lot of pictures of medieval instruments are shown with fairly shallow voicings, and I don't think they're anything near as stable. The bore, of course, is parallel in all cases because at that point, no one had actually thought of making anything different. Just to say that the wood of the original of this instrument was actually carbon dated to around 1350, so it really is pretty old. Now, the other very famous and almost complete, but actually quite damaged medieval recorder is the Dordrecht recorder, and that was discovered in the moat of a castle in Dordrecht, a city in Holland, which we know was destroyed in about 1420, so that sort of dates it. Now, the recorder that they found looked very similar to this, but without this bit on the end. So there seemed to be a wind cap missing. The labium is very long. Can you just see that? The labium is very long. The finger holes quite small, and a double finger hole at the bottom, which people always assumed is for left-handed or right-handed players because they're placed equidistant either side of the centre line. Now, it doesn't really work. You can see it on Daniel Brugen's excellent film, Ritschekar, where he's allowed into the storage of the museum at Dordrecht, and he plays one note on it and he says soprano C, because that's about the only note that works. But a lot of people have copied this. I think John Hanchett was one of the first ones to do it, and most of them have given it a wind cap here, because obviously there's a socket that would have had something on it. The sound is not as large as the Tartu recorder. You can see that the thickness at the voicing, it's a lot thinner. This is a lot deeper. The voicing is a lot deeper than here. And the window is not as wide. So it's for more sort of intimate playing. I'll just play you a scale on this one. The nice thing about this is you can take the wind cap off and you get quite a different sound. Now, of course, just like with the others, having made a small one, I had to make a bigger one. So this is the alto in F. I did actually even make some sopraninos, but I haven't got them at the moment because people kept buying them. So this is completely inauthentic, just like the larger sizes of the Tartu recorder, but never mind. It just was a thing of interest to do. I'll just play you a scale on this. But you're tired of hearing that tune. Everyone's tired of hearing that tune. Lamento di Tristan. So those are the recorders that we have on the Malvern Minstrelsy website, and you will be glad to see, if you go on the website, that by the miracle of modern convenience, it now has e-commerce. You can click and buy. Isn't that amazing? So please do go on, click and buy. I think the photographs are of some of these actual instruments here, and I would love them to go to good homes. So have a great Christmas and a new year, and I expect I'll be doing another one, I think, about tabor pipes a bit later. Bye.